Hey guys, this is the Revolving Battle Fox here, and today, or actually tonight, since it's 8:57 p.m. where I am right now, so on the night, I wanted to talk about a question I'm sure quite a few people ask themselves, and that is, should you start out with a big convention or a little convention when it comes to anime or video game, pop culture conventions, stuff like that? And pretty much when I say anime, I just mean that to be interchangeable. That can mean any sort of convention of that nature. Video games, comics, stuff like that. So, yeah, should you start out with a big convention or a little convention first? I know before I went to any conventions, I saw Anime Expo. And I told myself, man, I want Anime Expo to be the first convention that I go to. And so that was my plan for a long time. I was obsessed. Sorry, just deleting this thing. All right. Anyways, I was obsessed with having Anime Expo be the first convention that I've ever gone to. Like, we'll have Anime Expo be the standard, my personal standard for conventions. Why? Because at the time, and I still think it's the biggest anime convention in North America. That's anime based. And I've always wanted to go. I wanted to go for almost at least 10 years. Had to put it off because of reasons, but once I got back into it or wanting to go and trying to make a plan to go, I always told myself that was the one I wanted to go to. So I had a friend at the time. Sorry, this itchy for some reason. But I had a friend at the time. He told me, he was just like, you should start out with a smaller convention. And he was like, you should kind of work your way up. You should start out with Akon in Texas, and that's where he lived. And well, I did respect his opinion. And this is nothing against Akon. I would love to go to Akon one day if I had the extra resources or if someone paid for me to go. This is nothing against the Akon convention down in Texas, but I was dead set on having Anime Expo be my first. To me, it was like, why waste my time, my resources, my energy, my money to go to a con I really didn't want to go to, just to have it be like a stepping stone. It's like, skip the middleman. I want to go straight to a Anime Expo. Let's do the biggest and the baddest because that's where I wanted to go at the time. Now, did it end up now? Are you asking Revolver? Did you accomplish your dream? Was Anime Expo the first convention that you ever went to like you wanted it to be? No, it wasn't. Actually, my first convention ended up being a small convention in my hometown, which sadly they stopped doing it this year. And that was the Electric City Comic Con. And I went to that convention because it's like maybe a 5 minute drive. And it was free and it took place at the library. So how am I gonna pass that up? It was like, okay, it sucks that, Anime Expo won't be my first convention, but there's a convention right here and it's free and it's not too far, thank God. So I'm gonna go there. I went there with my nephew and I had a good time. So that's how it worked out for me. Now, if that event didn't take place, would Anime Expo be my first convention? Most likely, yes. I believe it would have. But it took place and I'm not tripping over it. But yeah, I still would have been just as dedicated to have AX be my first convention, even if that wasn't the case. But what about for you guys at home? Are you asking, should you start out with a big convention? Or should you start out with a little convention? Listen, if your dream is to start out with a big convention first, have right at it. If you have the resources and the means to do it, go right ahead. Now, obviously, if you have some mental limitations like social anxiety or some type of post-traumatic stress disorder, or you have some type of physical limitations that you might want to consider, then by all means keep those in mind. And if you feel like you need to start out with a smaller convention, by all means go ahead for it. But if you were as dedicated like I am to start out with a big convention, we're going big, we're going to Anime Expo, we're going to Dragon Con or whatever convention you want to, go ahead. Don't let anyone stop you from doing that. Now, my friend at the time, he was telling me to start small, and I can't remember the whole conversation, but start small just so you can more or less break yourself into it so you won't be overwhelmed. Well, honestly, let me tell you something. If this is your first time going to any convention, I'm 96% sure that whatever convention that you're going to go to, and this is your first time going to any of them, especially like an anime convention or whatever. Remember, when I use the term anime, they're interchangeable, but if that's your first time going to any of them, no matter how small or how big, you will likely be overwhelmed regardless of the size. I remember when I went to like the Electric City Comic Con, I think it was like between 500 and 1,500 people total. I'm not quite sure. So really small convention, really, really small. I went there with my nephew, and he was probably what, 7, 8 at the time, maybe even 6. We went there and we were just floored. We saw a lot of things, a lot of cosplays. There's a lot of, well, nice, decent mix of panels and events going on for the size that I enjoyed. A lot of people there. And you know what? Guess what? With a small, very small library size convention like that, and believe me, I live in a small town. I live in a backwoods Johnny town, where I'm even surprised we have paved roads and institutes of higher learning. I'm just playing, but I live in a small town. And even for that size and that being my first time, me and my nephew, we had to just find like a quiet place, ironically, in the library, just to kind of wind down. Just and it was like in the corner because everything's overwhelming to you. And you know what? That's if this is your first time going to any of them, it's going to be overwhelming, I believe, no matter how big or how small. So if you have the means to go to a bigger convention for your first time, by all means go for it because you're going to be overwhelmed anyway. You know what is going to happen? Let's say you're a nerd and geek or whatever, you are in the midst of people who enjoy the same things as you. Like, and this might sound arrogant on my part, but what difference does a 100,000 people make? Or more in the grand scheme of things. You're gonna get um weathered out. You're gonna get gassed out. You're gonna need time to yourself. And that's alright. So basically my thing is go for it. If you want to start out with a smaller convention, great. You're gonna get gassed out. It's gonna be overwhelming regardless. But I'm pretty much just kind of repeating the points. But what I want to add is that regardless of what you decide, nothing is going to get done unless you do it. So if you're afraid to take that first step to go to a big convention or a small convention and you don't do it, well, it won't get done. Then you won't know how much you're going to take. So yeah, look up YouTube videos of the con, get with others, talk about it. And it's kind of nerve-wracking at first, especially if you're shy and you're an introvert. I know because I am one. But you literally, you have to take that first step. Sometimes, most of the time, literally, if you have a wheelchair, you have to take, the first stride towards there to go. So and I'm kind of getting off track, but I remember when I went to MomoCon, my very first overnight convention by myself and trying to navigate the hotels and stuff. I was kind of nervous. Everything was kind of intimidating. It's like I gotta find my own hotels and stuff because I've never had to do that. Usually I have my sister with me, or I was in another group or something. Someone else did that for me. And I stood in that hallway and I thought to myself, if I don't take another step, you will still be here till the convention's over. Literally, if I did not move forward and try to figure things out, nothing is going to get done, most likely. So, yeah, and you won't have fun. So I literally had to take that first step and, get over that fear. And it was overwhelming, but everything begins with a step. So that's pretty much what I want to say. Whether, depending on whether, doesn't matter what the size is. All that matters is that if this is something that you want to do, is that you take that first step, you plan ahead, and then you make sure you execute, that you do that plan. Otherwise, or it won't get done. It won't get done. So, I think that's it for this video. I'm going to go ahead and end it before I start rambling and repeating myself. So, yeah, if you happen to like this video, feel free to like, comment, share, subscribe. If you want to help me out on my ticket price to Anime Weekend Atlanta, I have a GoFundMe, and I'll leave that in the link down in the description below. I also have an eBay store if you want to buy something to help me out to go towards there. I got the ticket, but it'd be nice to help recoup the price for it, because I ended up having to pay for another friend's ticket. Again, it's totally optional. I got it covered, but if you feel like you want to help, if this video or this channel ever helped you, just let me know. Or, the donate button's there. So yeah, like I said, I have an eBay store if you want to check that out. If you find something that you like, let me know that you saw this video or you're from YouTube, and I'll give you a discount. And yeah, and if you happen to like this video, feel free to check out my other content. Or if you're into like gaming or drink testing, stuff like that. But let's have a discussion. What was your very first convention that you started out with? Was it big? Was it small? Did you want to start out with a big convention? Did you want to start out with a little convention? And how did it work out for you? Did you ended up starting out with a big convention when you want to start out with a small one, or vice versa? Let's have a discussion. So, yep. Until next time, I will see you guys later. Peace out.